from the KFNX studios is the Locksmith Show. We're your hosts, Andrew Ryan and I, from Andrew's Lock and Key, and I bring you the latest news and entertainment in the security industry. I'm your host, Locksmith Charlie. Our call-in numbers are 602-277-5369, and we'd like to welcome you to our show. Invite you to call in with any questions you have and any news that might be happening in the security industry.
Well, yesterday we had the Aloha Expo.
That was Friday.
Oh, Friday. It's that, yeah.
It's been a long weekend.
It's been a long, long weekend.
Well, I really wish I could have been there, but I'm actually surprised I'm here today, seeing as 3 days ago I thought I'd be dead by now.
I thought you were dead.
Andrew told me you were dead. I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
So-
and then when I finally did get on the road Friday afternoon, I had a semi try to kill me. So, that's the name of that tune. If it's not one thing, it's another.
Exactly.
It's always something. It's okay. You didn't really miss all that much at the expo. Just a bunch of locksmiths talking shop. You know
No,
how it
wait a
is.
minute. You mean I didn't miss the roast beef and the shrimps and the...
Yeah, the shrimps were pretty awesome.
They
The
had
food
some
was
pretty good food.
I was really impressed, actually. I figured it'd be like, okay, here's some breads.
Here's some 3-day-old pizza.
Yeah, kind of what I was figuring. But they had like 4 different stations set up, and they had like a Mexican area, a Chinese area. They had the roast beef sandwich area where they're carving the roast beef right off the slab. It was awesome. Actually, the food was really good.
Well, with any luck, I'll be feeling up to going to the one in California, and I'll be able to enjoy then what I missed out on this week.
I actually got a $25 gift card to Cheesecake Factory.
This
I thought
guy
that was,
won.
yeah, I won something. I was pretty happy about that.
Well, yay. Yay.
I didn't win anything.
Well.
I know.
And Andrew bought a new tool.
I bought several new tools.
You bought one in particular I'm excited about.
Yeah.
About the leashy vice.
I bought him a leashy vise.
And, to put the locks in.
To put the locks in so we could practice on them.
I spent about almost 45 minutes at the leashy booth getting schooled on how to use the leashy picks, and I still haven't successfully picked a lock with the leashy tools, and I could tell that there were a line of guys wanting to talk to them. So I was like, I'm just gonna go buy one of these vices and I'll figure this out later. Thanks for the info. And then I went and talked to Andrew, and he's like, I was gonna buy one anyway. Here, go. I'm like, awesome.
So, what do you think about the news from Minnesota? Or should we tell them about the news from
I
Minnesota
think we should
first?
tell them about the news from Minnesota.
So according to ABC5 in Minnesota, they covered a story on Friday about a locksmith company based out of Florida setting up fake phone numbers, company names, and addresses to scam residents in Minnesota. According to the Attorney General, Lori Swanson, the company has been banned from doing business in Florida altogether. They're using the same tactics as all the other scammers, basically using company names like Minnesota Locksmith Service or Burnsville Locksmith, and using phone numbers, local phone numbers. So when customers call in, they think they're dealing with a local company, but we're actually dealing with an out-of-state call center. They were claiming to be licensed, insured, and bonded, but Minnesota doesn't actually have any licensing. They don't certify their locksmiths, and they don't require insurance. So they kicked them out.
Did it say on there what they were doing? I'm still trying to load stuff from...
They were, well, as far as how they were doing it, they were, fake numbers, fake phone numbers, fake addresses, fake company names. And they were doing the typical bait and switch tactics, quoting one price over the phone and up or around this, around that, and then charging customers 5, 6, 7 times as much.
Up to 10 times more from what I remember of the article.
Yeah, they were saying 3 to 10 times as much.
I guess the thing that bothers me about this is the same thing that bothers me about the way Arizona handled Dependable. They filed suit against Dependable in Tucson after a bunch of guys in Tucson got together and started complaining. And it took several meetings before the Attorney General finally figured out, this isn't a case of two competitors not liking one another. This is a case of criminality and conspiracy. And what I can't figure out is when I bring up 10 more company entities in the Phoenix area to their attention, why the response I get is, well, we can't help you. I'm like,
Well, because it does look like just another company, crying foul on another company. What it seems like in this Florida Minnesota situation is that the local residents were the ones that got involved, and the local residents and the local population are the ones that were crying foul. Which is what we're trying to do with the local Phoenix residents, by doing this show, by posting these articles up and trying to get the word out, trying to get the good word out that this problem exists. Maybe they'll contact their council members, because currently it does look like just a bunch of competitive companies arguing. From the outside looking in, because there's not a lot of consumers out there, because they don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to.
So, ladies and gentlemen, when you decide that you need to call a locksmith, and don't call myself or Andrew or any of the other legitimate guys that were popping up on Andrew's websites, when they end up charging you way more than they should, or way more than they've told you and done the bait and switch thing, that's time for you to run them off. Call the police, take pictures of their license numbers and their vehicles and the people, and write letters to the Attorney General, and put in reports on ripoffreport.com or thelocksmithpolice.com, or all of the above.
I totally agree with you on that, Charlie. You don't need to have these guys do any work. If they quote if they quote you outrageous prices, you can send them on their way. Call somebody else.
Yeah, that's right. I've told this story a time or two before, but I had a garage door guy come out, and he was going to charge me like $400 to wind up the spring. And I'm like, well, how long is that going to take? He said, oh, about an hour. I'm like, get the bleep off my property, because I'm not paying you $400 an hour. I don't even charge that much. So, let me find somebody that's reasonable, and you can go away now.
Yeah, there was a story I read the other day. It was going rampant in the mold testing industry as well. Guys who come over and do mold testing in your house. The Lookout did a special on that as well. Guys would come into your house, and you would have a water leak, so you would think you might have mold. They would come over and test it. And some of these guys would be $795. And there would be no mold. Another guy was like $1,250, and there was no mold. The one that got me the most, and he was very believable, told the lady it was going to be $5,500. And he was the most knowledgeable about it. And when they went to ask him some questions, he disappeared. Actually left his car door open, so you couldn't see his company name on it while he was driving away in the scene. So scamming is not just in our industry or any industry. It's in lots of industries.
Yeah, every consumer-related industry, with the possible exception of attorneys, architects, accountants, doctors.
Hold on. What attorney have you met that isn't crooked in some way, shape, or form?
Well, all I'm saying is that if you don't go to law school and go past the bar exam, you're not going to get an attorney license. And if you don't have an attorney license and you show up in court, you're going to quickly end up behind bars.
That is true. That is very true.
So it's very difficult for a make-believe attorney to try to pull a fast one over in the court system.
Yeah. But then again, our court system, they take forever to realize anything.
Yeah, tell me about that.
We won't go that deep.
So what do you guys think are some methods we could use to try to not necessarily get rid of the scammers, because there's always going to be crooked people out there trying to take advantage of other people, but what can we do to help add legitimacy to this industry? I mean, what about a certification system, or having to get a state license? Maybe just as simple as getting a background check, and
You don't read ClearStar much, do you?
No, I don't.
He's not a member.
Not a member?
You need to be.
Well, according to you, I need to be a member of every single locksmith group in the country, At that rate, I'd go broke just in memberships.
Actually, that's not true. And ClearStar is probably the most valuable information source that you'll ever find throughout your career.
But you said Aloha was at one point.
No. Lolo is not so much of an information source. They just give you patches and stuff so you can have an air of credibility.
Okay. Well, now that we've cleared that one up.
Well, Andrew, look at the email I sent you before the show, and
I saw the same email
on ClearStar. There were some posts made by some of the guys that promoted some of the various state laws, and a couple of guys that says, when they were first talking about it, I was against it, but then I changed my mind, and now that I see that these licensing agencies are actually not doing anything at all toward enforcement, now I'm back to where I was, that the licensing thing is just, it's not going to be helpful to the local legitimate locksmiths. And, of course, I'm of two opinions on the subject, but that may have to wait for a minute or two, so I'm being told.
We're going to head on to a commercial break, and we'll be back shortly.
Speaking of a great career with growth potential, Locksmith Charlie needs an office assistant in the Mesa area. So after the show, give me a call at 602-717-5397. And I understand that on the line we have the Mystery Locksmith.
Who? Do you wear a mask when you go out and open people's cars?
No.
Oh, I was just checking.
Sneak up on them and...
Well, you should.
I carry a bag in the car, put over my head, but...
A bag or a flag?
A bag. He said a bag.
Open the car for Old Glory or something?
Yeah. Yep.
So what's up?
Not much. It was the IMLSS, actually, Expo, not Aloha. But... Speaking of licensing, I haven't read ClearStar. I haven't read this stuff on ClearStar on that. And I got to agree, I think that is probably the best single investment that he could make in his for his benefit that Ryan could make right now.
Okay.
For instance, if you go out on a job and you encounter something you've never ever seen before and take a picture and post it along with a question on ClearStar, you might get an answer back in how long?
Depends. It depends, but the thing is you don't have to just ask a question. You could look things up on there, too.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'm on the website right now, so I'm doing some reading while we're talking.
When I first started, I would spend 2-3 hours a night just researching, just to get better. There was something else I was going to... Oh, as far as licensing goes, I don't really care for licensing in this state because most of the states that I know of, they have licensing. There's no enforcement. There's very little enforcement. There's no teeth in the law. I think there are laws on fraud on the books already. They just don't enforce them, and that's what upsets me.
Yeah, and a lot of us were very excited when Jerry Ford over in Virginia and Mark Baldino went and got the Virginia legislature to add another section to their law that said that whatever the enforcement agency was, Department of this or that, shall tell search engines, no, you can't advertise these people if they're not licensed. And then when they finally did send out what we call the Virginia letter to Google, Google started fighting with them, and they just threw their hands up in the air and gave up and decided, okay, we're going to join all the other states and continue to do nothing.
Yeah. I think they need to do something, but as far as the licensing, like I said, with no teeth in the law, it does nothing but cost us time and extra money. And You know what I'm saying? But they do need to do something about the fraudulent bullshit. It's fraudulent stuff.
Well, the places that have licensing, there is a considerable amount of teeth in the law. I mean, some of them are $10,000 per occurrence fines. But if nobody goes, if the state or anybody else that can does not go and file an action to get these penalties exercised, then, it's just another exercise in uselessness.
Yeah, and I want to clarify that since I said that. What I consider fraudulent, it's not necessarily some of the stuff they do doesn't necessarily meet fraud, but it's not, when somebody asks you for a price and you dodge it, you know what it's going to cost. It's, just so you can get paid to show up when you're not going to plan on even doing anything. That kind of falls under the intent to defraud to me, but anyhow.
Well, I think part of what I read about, I'm not sure if you were just reading the KSMT thing or if you were reading the actual press release from the Attorney General there. One part of what I read was one of the consumers had told the person, hey, look, I don't want you to make a key. I want you to just open the car because the keys might be inside. And they says, oh, no, we can't do that. We have to make a key, and it's going to be $280, and ultimately the key was inside.
Did they specify that on the phone before showing up?
I do not know.
Not from the way it reads, no.
I'm not sure the press release says that. Do you have the press release?
Yeah, the press release says Fulton touted low costs and low wait times and did not deliver. One woman was locked out of her car. Fusion told her the cost would be $95 for the locksmith. When the locksmith arrived, the woman asked the technician to first unlock her car so she could see if the key was in there. The locksmith refused and said that he was required to make the key and charge $260. Her key was in the car still, though. Yeah. So he could have opened it for $95, and depending on the time of the day, $95 is not too bad of a price to open the car. But if her key's sitting inside the car, he doesn't need to make a key for it.
Oh, but he's required to.
$5 up front, or gave her a price of that. That doesn't.
Well, yeah, anyway. that is the problem. I had a guy call up yesterday about keys for a Chrysler, and I told him, $100 if it didn't have a chip, $150 if it did, and he was going to call me back after 6, and of course never called back. But those
are prices. Go ahead.
If you know what it's going to be, there should not be a question of telling them an honest price up front. I mean, it's just the way it should be done.
Occasionally, I'll charge a little more for a Chrysler if I have to call in to retrieve a PIN number. But anyhow.
Yeah.
And as we've told everyone repeatedly, if you have a Dodge, Chrysler, Plymouth, Jeep vehicle, you should go to your dealer and make sure that you get your PIN number from your dealer so that in the event that you ever have to have a duplicate made or God forbid that you should lose your keys and be stranded somewhere, that you have your PIN number so it's easy to program the key into the car as opposed to impossible or nearly impossible.
Nearly impossible. So.
Good advice.
Yes. So we have another news story that has come out of New York, Buffalo, New York to be exact.
ABC 7 posted an article on February 2nd about a potential security risk for consumers that use key fobs to lock and unlock their cars, which almost all of us do. For around, for around $30, the thief can buy a device to allow them to gain access to your vehicle. Local Buffalo police have seen an increase in reports of vehicles being burglarized with no signs of forced entry. Basically, what happens when you press the lock or unlock button, the key fob sends a signal to the vehicle telling it to do whatever it is you're asking it to do. When you transmit that signal, this device is able to steal that signal out of the air. Most auto manufacturers are aware of this exploit and have been working to fix the issue. according to Ron Chase, the owner of Buffalo Key and Lock in North Tonawanda. Some of the newer key fobs use a different code every time you click the button to make it harder to hack, but even those systems have started getting hacked. The police have been recommending to continue to park in well-lit areas, make sure all of your windows are up and your doors are locked. Make sure to remove your spare key from the vehicle if you left it in there.
Leave a very large dog in the car, a large hungry dog in the car.
Also move your valuables out of sight. And also to remember that if you use the switch inside the car to lock and unlock your doors, that code is not transmitted. So it's just a safer way to make sure your vehicle is secure.
Yep.
Sometimes, though, by doing that on certain vehicles, that does not even set the alarm.
Well, alarm or alarm not, sometimes it doesn't even lock the doors.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other program.
Push it twice to set the alarm.
No, but that's kind of scary knowing that it's wreaking havoc over in Buffalo right now. It's been kind of a big thing from according to the news story.
Actually, the Aloha has been approached by people like the FBI wanting to know, they've been shown videos of people walking around opening up cars with little boxes and wondering, how can they do this?
It's because they're stealing the...
We'll be back in just a few minutes after these words from the news and the weather and
Our sponsors.
You're listening to Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX. Currently ranked in the top 10 by Ranking Arizona. Listen to us worldwide at 1100kfnx.com.
Welcome back to the Locksmith Show with Andrew and Ryan and Wacko Locksmith Charlie here. What's next on the agenda?
I don't know.
We keep saying that a lot, don't we?
I know.
Hey, I showed up an hour and a half early and did show prep, so
What else you got, Ryan? Have you got show prep?
Then let us know.
Hey, I wrote 2 full articles ready to go. I'm the shining beacon of hope for this show and trying to prep for these episodes.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's now the Ryan Show.
So,
I've got to say, you are pretty good, Ryan.
I appreciate that, Mystery Locksmith. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
For as new as you are in the trade, you're pretty good at what you do. What I was going to say earlier, I forgot to. The leashes, I had leashes for quite a while, and I wasn't very good at them. And I took the class on it this weekend, and I guarantee you, it made a world of difference.
Yeah, we were really slammed this last week. Basically, every day that the leashy classes were being held, I was elbow deep in muck and mire at a trailer, trying to rekey it, and I really wanted to make it to that class. I got to sit and talk to the leashy guys for a good long while, and even just that little bit of time was really eye opening for me and trying to figure out those leashy tools. So I'm glad that Andrew bought the Vice, because we have a handful of auto locks in the truck that we've been saving for me to work with. So now that we have that Vice, I can hop in there and start trying to figure out these tools.
How's the leashy Vice different from any other Vice?
The way it clamps down on the lock, it doesn't actually compress the body of the lock cylinder, so it will freely...
The housing.
Yeah, sorry, the housing. So it doesn't compress the housing like a normal Vice would. So...
Just don't over tighten it, because I don't know about that, but I bought the genuine leashy one, and it was used, but it screwed the threads up, and it didn't work worth a damn now. It doesn't work very well now.
Gotcha.
But,
so just be careful with how it's threaded.
Yeah, this is a genuine leashy one that we ordered.
that don't over clamp. Don't try and clamp it down too tight. But then again, you probably know that already.
Yeah, the leashy reps were they gave me a good rundown of the Vice when I told them I wanted to buy one. They sat there and actually helped me set a lock up in the Vice and clamp it down and were saying make sure it's secure but don't over tighten it, etc. So
yeah.
Hey, how much do you guys know about the Knox boxes?
This is the first time hearing about them.
What about them?
Well, I was
Or
out
get open sometimes.
at an undisclosed mall for Friday, and I had occasion to summon the fire department to come out because the Knox box was just hanging there open. And my feeling has always been all you have to do is take the cylinder out of one of them, and you can fabricate a key for it. And if you do, then you've pretty much got the keys to the city.
Oh, you know what? I do know what these are. I helped Jim install some of these on a property for Orset.
And the problem was when the fire department came out, they had the keys and everything with them. The studs that were sticking out of the wall that had nuts on them to hold this box into the wall were sticking out so far they couldn't get the door to close. So they had to leave the thing open. I'm like...
So somebody didn't install the Knox box properly in the first place?
Yeah, but doesn't it seem to you that just anybody that had a bit of mechanical knowledge could come along and take the box, or if the door is hanging there open, they could put a chain around it and yank the door off with their car and make a key at their leisure that would just let them open up every Knox box in that city?
From what I understand, when I was working with Jim, he had given me some information on these. They're actually, the boxes, I believe, are keyed differently per city.
Yeah.
But that's per city.
Yeah.
And it's made...
And so if you have one for Phoenix and you make a key for it,
that's true.
You can get into basically every commercial structure in Phoenix.
That requires you to have a Knox box, which is most of them.
Yeah.
Um,
And it seems to me a very substantial security issue.
But it is a federal offense to have that, I believe, isn't it?
yes.
Oh, so if you do make a copy of that key,
Well, if you get in hold of that key and they know what that key is, yes, it's a rather
I
large
kind of
federal
imagine
offense.
that blank is a controlled item as
Well,
but
Um,
you'd hope.
I don't know for sure, but I mean, I'm sure that blank is controlled. But if you take a piece of brass and start milling on it, you're pretty much going to have a key blank.
maybe we should
Pretty
stop there
soon.
so we're not giving entry tips.
Well, we're not.
over the
We're
air.
not. They don't.
Okay.
Anybody
All right.
that's a machinist knows that if you
Work
mill
hard
the
enough at
sides of
something.
a piece of metal, it'll go into a keyhole eventually.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the other things that I've noticed that we're talking about goofy keys out there, and it is a rather large problem going on, is credit card theft at gas pumps. And all they're doing is they're putting what's called a credit card skimmer inside the gas pump. Why this is a problem for not necessarily locksmiths, but people in general, is I found out the other day that most gas pumps actually all use the same exact key across the United States.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So they're installing this thing that costs about $20 to $60 to make inside the gas pump. They put a jumper on 2 wires in there with another thing, and it's actually pretty clever how they do it. And they steal your gas, they steal your credit card. And in California, lots of them are actually reusing the credit card back at the same gas station that they stole it from to fill up vans and other vehicles full of gas, hundreds and hundreds of gallons of gas on stolen credit cards.
Yeah, I've had gas stations ask me to replace those locks, and then they backed out on it. But
Yeah, I was talking earlier, Charlie, that there's a few guys out there. Well, not a few guys. There's some people out there putting skimmers for credit cards. They steal credit card numbers.
And I was reading on ClearStar, one of the guys posted, he never ever fills up on the side of the pump that the attendants can't see.
Yes, that's what I was going to say too. You want to be on the closest to where the attendants can see and the most lit side of it always. And these things the gas stations don't even know you put them in. There's nothing that says that they've put them in. They just go in. Well, here in Arizona, they did a little sting operation on them. And they went in and they've been popping gas stations open up, just looking, and the Weights and Measure company did. Well, they went out and got some little battery-powered cameras that as soon as it hit light, they would turn on and start recording. So they started catching these guys looking for their skimmers again. And there's other ones that can run on a wireless network, so you don't even need to go back to get them. They just throw them in, and then they're selling your credit card information for $5 to $25 a credit card.
And where do we buy this information?
I am not exactly sure.
Wow.
We have Leland back with us from last week.
Hey, Leland.
Hey, how you doing?
How's it going, Leland?
Oh, very interesting week. We had another Google change up here. Basically, I've seen, as you know, Andrew would probably be enlightened on this mostly with all the type of work that he's been doing. But basically, when you're looking at your Google listings, they went from the 7-pack down to the 3-pack. Now, in the new 3-pack, I'm still in the location for Peekskill, New York. And also, we have All County Locksmith, real nice guy up there, good gentleman I've known for years. And then we have MYA Locksmith listed at an empty house up there. If you physically go up there, there's a house for sale. And then if you use the same address, it comes back to Brick Locksmith. And also, if you do a little more research and follow it down, if you click on the people who listed, one is directly from Israel who gave a review for this company, and quite a few other ones were giving bad reviews to longtime legitimate locksmiths.
And that's something you're going to see all the time on the Google Maps section. They come and go.
Now, what do you mean when you say you've changed from 3-packs to 12-packs to...
Oh, well, basically what happened is a few months ago, Google, when you used to search for whatever services, pizza, locksmith, plumber, whoever, there would be 7 people show up on the listing. And then back in August, I think, they took that and they created 3-pack. And the reason that they did it was for mobile use. They wanted it to be showing 3 people on the mobile phone, and they want the desktop version to be almost identical to the mobile version. That's what Google's attempting to do with all of this. That's why it went from 7 to 3. People were freaking out about it. I don't know anybody that still doesn't go down. My phone rings, and I rank 5, 6, and 7. And, I still get phone calls on most of my calls.
I actually got an out-of-the-blue lockout call the other day from a guy a mile and a half away from my house on Country Club.
There you go. Yelp?
No,
No?
just out of the blue.
Out of the blue?
Actually, I didn't ask him a source, but I have to assume it's Google because I started doing listings with my home address.
Ah, gotcha.
So back to Leland's topic, what he was talking about. There is an option there, Leland, that you can go in and report those fake addresses to Google. You can report that those are illegitimate businesses, that those addresses they're listing are not valid. I know.
I'll tell you, I've been doing that for about for 15 years now, and anytime with my listing, it seems like every time you go to report them, they eventually take them down. And then all of a sudden your listing's down and you're fighting to get back up there again, too. For some reason, it seems strange, but it seems like there's some kind of flaw in the system.
It's not a flaw in the system. Somebody's flagging you, too, and it's just they're going through it. A lot of the stuff Google does for us locksmiths now is a human. They'll actually call you. If you look, I get twice a year phone call from Google from a 650 number. And they ask me my business and what I do. And that's them verifying to make sure that you're legitimate, and they double-check your stuff. You can also call them if you don't have a physical location and you're trying to claim that you have a physical location. Google doesn't like that either. They'll let you have your service area, and that's kind of the downfall at the moment. That's what they're getting a loophole in, along with changing some other things that they can change, because Google is a semi-open source when it comes to their maps and their other things. They want users to add things and change things, and that's part of the downfall.
They did a good job the last time with my company, because what they did is they physically got the picture of my vehicle in front of my business, which is at my home location as well, because the home and business location, but they actually captured the sign in the window, the sign of my vehicle, and everything's right in there. And verification with Google, when they've called their divisions, they've been pretty accurate with everything lately. And basically, there's another feature with Google. A lot of people don't know if they know about it, but if you go on your dashboard and you're really having problems, you can click on and wait and unlock the phone, and they'll call directly back while you're waiting on the phone while you're waiting through your dashboard.
Okay.
Really, I did not know that.
Yeah, I just found that out myself about a year ago because I was doing the Google Help Me, and then a new dashboard came out when you do Google My Business.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into the dashboard...
Well, we're going to have to talk about the dashboard in 2 or 3 minutes.
We'll be right back.
We're out of here.
We're taking a commercial break.
Welcome back to the Locksmith Show with the Mystery Locksmith and Leland and Andrew and Ryan and Locksmith Charlie here. So, Leland, tell us more about this dashboard thing. And I don't really know much about the back end part of Google.
Oh.
Or
We're going to talk about the dashboard next week, Leland. We have a gentleman who...
Rob Painter.
Oh, Rob Painter. Okay.
How's it going, Rob?
Rob, are you there?
Hello, mystery caller. Rob, are you there?
I don't
might
think
have
we're
lost
hearing
Rob.
anybody. I'm seeing all the phone lines lit up. And
I heard him.
Rob?
Yes, can you hear me?
Hey, there we
go.
go. Amazing. Magic from the control room. How's it going, Mr. Rob?
Doing good.
Tell us about the insurance companies abusing their customers.
Well, a lot of people aren't aware of it. They figure, well, my car gets stolen. The insurance company will pay the claim, and that's the end of it. Unfortunately, the insurance companies no longer do that. What they do is they have this idea that the vehicle is impossible to steal because it's got an anti-theft system on it. And so what happens is they don't investigate these as a theft. They automatically investigate them as a fraud.
They do, because the guy that taught me how to be locksmithing is a forensic locksmith, and they have him check the stuff out to see if it was stolen with a key or not. And some companies do that.
A majority of them do. And it's a way for the insurance company to make money. They have to pay if your vehicle is involved in a crash, they got to pay for the collision damage. If the vehicle's burned, they got to pay for the burn damage. With the theft, they use plausible deniability by having the forensic locksmith examine the vehicle and determine it was the insurer's key that drove the vehicle. That gives them the ability to investigate the claim further, and any type of financial situation that you have, and these days it happens a lot, if you paid late on a credit card, something like that, that's enough for them to build a case against you. I had a case in Tucson in 2014 where the insurance company, they paid the claim, but they were under the belief that the vehicle was impossible to steal. And the reason they paid the claim is anything over $20,000 is a felony. So they paid $35,000, and then they referred it over to the district attorney. Well, district attorney prosecuted for insurance fraud and saying that the vehicle couldn't be stolen and all that. And what we did is we made a video showing that it only took a minute to make a key for it to be able to unlock the doors, and then a matter of programming that key, and then the vehicle could be driven. It was found going over the Mexico border and never seen again. So it was really stolen, but as far as they're concerned, the insured had to have something to do with it. And what we demonstrated is anybody could have taken this vehicle. And he was exonerated. He was acquitted. But the point of the matter is that insurance companies not only don't pay the claims, in this case they did, but they want to turn around and prosecute. It's really kind of scary. They can turn your life upside down. this happens a lot all over the country. I've done lots of Arizona cases, criminal cases, civil cases. I work on them with federal court. In fact, I got one in Chicago right now. I just took in same thing. His Mercedes is supposedly theft-proof. And the forensic locksmith determined that it was last driven with a key. And what they do is they say it was last driven with a key of the proper type. That assumes that the proper type is the insurance. The key of the proper type is anything that'll start the vehicle. Or if it was towed, then it wouldn't really matter anyway.
Hey, Rob, when I was at one of the conventions, they were talking about a couple of people that were walking around with a briefcase system where if you just walked up next to a person, it could basically read the key through their pocket, communicate with the other briefcase. The guy with the second briefcase can then just walk up to the car, poke the button to open the door, jump in the car and push the start button and go driving off. Now, would that be with the proper key?
Technically, yes. Yes, it would.
It would be.
So,
it would.
And that is a
Absolutely.
problem. I mean, they say everything's theft-proof. No, it's theft-deterrent. If somebody wants it that bad, they're going to take it.
That's correct.
And, there's plenty of guys that have been in our business that probably aren't in our business anymore because they went over to the dark side and they're stealing cars. And it's not that hard to make a key for a car if you know what you're doing.
Well, the scary thing is I have a friend of mine. He's a very astute locksmith. He was getting trained. This was back in 2014 in Florida by Mexicans. And the Mexicans know a lot more than the locksmith in America about doing this stuff. And so then you got to go back to thinking cartel. Why are cars stolen? Cars are stolen for parts. Cars are stolen to be used for human trafficking. Cars are stolen for gun running.
Car bombs.
For running, exactly. Running drugs. I mean, there's so many reasons that vehicles are stolen. And the insurance companies also look at it from another aspect, that the car would only be stolen for parts. So if it's not missing any parts, well, then it wasn't stolen. Well, what about when you have a situation that the 7-Eleven was held up? You didn't take any parts then, and then maybe the vehicle's found burned. Well, the insured had to have something to do with that, of course. Well, there's a thing called destroying evidence. The reason vehicles are burned is to get rid of evidence, DNA, fingerprints, things like that. So, I mean, these are all things that you got to take into consideration. And see, the problem with the forensic locksmith, he gets paid by the insurance companies to write a report that's going to favor the insurance company.
Saying what they want them to say.
That's correct.
Locksmith can determine is if it was taken with a key, not if it was taken with the customer's key.
Exactly.
Yes, but they use semantics to make it appear to sound like it was the customer's key. That's what
the BMW has. The BMW has a chip built into the key, and it gives on that chip the last mileage that was on that vehicle. Chip is scanned. You can walk.
All right,
up
gentlemen. We are winding down the show right now. We'll have to pick this up next week. If you guys want to call in, we would love to talk some more.
Rob, can you call in next week, maybe toward the beginning of the show?
I certainly can.
Absolutely. We would love that. We would love to talk more about this. And Leland, if you want to call in and talk more about the control panel on Google, that would be amazing as well. Thank you guys very much. And don't forget to listen to our podcast at thelocksmithshow.com.
Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great weekend and
go whoever
go
you want
Arizona.